back to my channel. This is vlog 3 of Vlogtober, so thanks for bearing with me because I'm not very technologically savvy. So I'm getting there. It's taken me about a day at a time to upload a video, but I'm getting there. So today is a to be read in October. So a couple of these books have already started. And it's an array of classics, new books and other things. So I've got 6 books because I don't want to give myself too much to read because I've got lots of other things going on, like this YouTube series. So the first one is Natives, Race and Class in the Ruins of the Empire by Akala. This book is absolutely fantastic. I've been reading it for a while now and I keep rereading the chapters and then looking up what it references. So it talks about the British Empire and everything that's involved in our history that we basically haven't been taught, and I for one have not been taught all of this stuff. I knew some of it, but a lot of it I didn't know. I didn't know about the working class kids from single parent families in the 50s, 60s and 70s that were sent to Canada and New Zealand and Australia and things like that, basically as slaves to some countries in South Africa. So I read a chapter and then he'll mention something. So he mentioned the Oranges and Lemons book and the documentary about the adults talking about their experience of being sent to another country because their family wasn't deemed good for them by social services, and it could be simply for being in a single parent family in a working class environment. So that was really eye-opening for me because I wasn't aware of that, especially the kids that were sent to Canada, because they were basically just slaves on Canadian farms and given no rights. And yeah, lots and lots of different things. I also, after finishing a chapter, looked up the slave trade. There's actually a database where you can see if your family's linked to slavery, and I think most families in Britain are. And that was really interesting to see because there was a lot of middle class women who bought one slave. If they were living alone, or if their husband had died, they'd buy a female slave so that they would get money from them and then any children they had, which is awful. But I think in my head I thought owning slaves were this upper class thing, and apparently it wasn't. It was stocks and shares basically for anyone who wanted to make some money, which is awful. But today I suppose we're doing it in other aspects, such as people have stocks and shares in the oil trade and stuff. So anyway, I'm blabbering on, but this book is fantastic. Akala actually reads some of it out on his YouTube channel as well, which was how I found out about the book. I've reread it and reread it, and I'm up to the final couple of chapters now, so I'm going to finish this month. But I highly recommend it if you want to know more about the British Empire and racism and classism in Britain, because it's rife. The next one I think I've seen on lots of people's YouTube videos, but it is Midnight Sun by Stephenie Meyer. I'm a massive Twilight fan. My friend Jess got me into it when I was 16 or 17, and I've reread most of the books, and we've been to the cinema a couple of times to see most of the films, especially New Moon. New Moon was my favourite. So 10 years on, I couldn't resist buying Midnight Sun, and I'm really loving it. As an actor, I've got a newfound respect for Robin Pattinson, for everything that he was having to put in behind the script of Twilight, if that makes sense, because he was given a copy of this book by the writer to prepare for Twilight. So Twilight's her point of view, Midnight Sun's his point of view. So obviously as a vampire his brain runs a lot quicker and his movements run a lot quicker, so there's paragraphs and paragraphs in here. Obviously it's a massive book in comparison to what would be a line in Twilight. And also he can hear everyone's thoughts, so you're hearing said a lot of thoughts that Bella might have had an idea of or suspected, but in this you're actually hearing what's happening in everyone's brains. And also the fact that he's having to remember that his character doesn't have to breathe and he's moving slower for him and all of that stuff. I think amazing performances from all the vampires, to be honest, because all of this that's in this book is shown in the Twilight film as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, it's given me a newfound respect for the actors in the Twilight film. So I've only got, again, just a little bit left. I might cheating a bit with this, but 2 books that I just need to finish, but I'm really loving this. It's been a really enjoyable read. I recommend it if you read the Twilight books when you were younger. And then the next one I've got is The Plague by Albert Camus. Camus. But I ordered this when lockdown happened. I thought it was funny. I'll read you the blurb. So this is about the townspeople of Oran who were in the grip of a deadly plague, which spread from rats and now condemns its human victims to a swift and horrifying death. Forced into quarantine in the sweltering heat, each person responds in their own way to the lethal disease. Some resign themselves to fate, some seek blame and revenge, and a few, like the unheroic Dr. Roux, join forces to defy the terror. Written just after the Nazi occupation of France, The Plague is a taut, visceral depiction of resistance against a seemingly uncontrollable evil. So I just thought it was really interesting, because obviously it's quite similar to now in some ways, with the fact that everyone's in quarantine, but also the way this book apparently talks about like human psyche and how different people deal with different situations. I could be completely wrong, but when lockdown had just happened, I ordered a lot of books, including natives, and then never got around to reading them. So I'm actually going to read this one, The Plague, after natives. But yeah, it's a classic and I've never heard of it before, and I just couldn't believe how much it seemed to kind of work around today's theme, shall we say. So that's next. I'll let you know if that's any good. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these, by the way. I fancy reading any of them. And next up is Stephen King. It's October, you've got to read a bit of Stephen King in October. So this is The Shining. I absolutely love the film. I've watched it so many times. And I bought this book a couple of years ago, again started reading it in October, and I got up to page 77, chapter 10. So I'm going to be going again from the beginning. As a kid, I actually read a lot of Stephen King books, which sounds really bizarre. But I had a really high reading level, and once I ran out of kids' books, I started reading my parents' books, so I kind of grew up reading lots of Stephen King. But The Shining is one of the classics that I haven't read. So I'll let you know how this goes, because some of his books are a bit hit and miss, I find. And then I've got To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. So this, again, I bought it at the beginning of lockdown. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. I bought it from Blackwell's because I didn't want to buy from a massive chain. I mean, Blackwell's might not be that much better than Waterstones and things like that, but when I'm in city centre, I do go to Blackwell's. So I thought, even though I'm not going out and about, I'll still order from them. So this was 3 for 2, and I got 2 other classics with this that I'm not going to read this month. But they are The Secret Garden and Tess of the D'Urbervilles, because these are all classics where I've enjoyed adaptations of them, but I've never actually read the books. And this one I'm going to read because Simon and I are actually going to go to the Scottish Islands next month for a weekend. And this is about the Ramsays staying at their summer home in the Isle of Skye. So I thought that tied in quite nicely. And Virginia Woolf, I haven't read a lot of her stuff. I've read A Room of One's Own and I absolutely loved that. So I'm on a bit of a roll now, I feel, with just reading everything of hers, because I just never heard of her as a kid or when I was at school. So I'm kind of reading all of it now. Maybe I'm a bit late to the party, I don't know. I just thought this would be a nice one for October. It's about the Ramsays in a summer home in the Isle of Skye, and it's in the wake of the First World War. And I just thought it would be a good one to start with, because apparently it's the most autobiographical of her books. So I'll let you know how this goes, but I'm excited for that. And then last but not least, we have Bram Stoker's Dracula. So I actually have the kids' version in my classic collection of horror stories that I've kept from being a kid. But I've never read the adult version. We read Frankenstein at school, but we never read Dracula. It's Simon's, he got it for Christmas last year, so I'm going to let him read it first, and then I'm going to read it. But yeah, that's going to be the last one leading up to Halloween, I think. So let me know if you think that's far too many, but I tend to be a bit of a bookworm, so when I get into books, I really fly through them, but then I normally have a couple of months of just not reading much, and I always have a pile of about 5 books on my bedside table. Simon thinks I'm ridiculous. But these are what I'm committing to reading this month, so I'll let you know how they are. Comment below if you have any other recommendations of maybe some spooky stories. I also have this, which is The Haunted Library Classic Ghost Stories. And if I get through the other 6 books. I'm going to reread this because this was fantastic. It's lots of short stories by famous writers, and I recommend that if you haven't read it for October. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you've read any of them, any other recommendations you've got, and please like and subscribe if you can. I'm just having a go at this best I can, and the more subscribers and likes I get, the more people get to see these videos in their feed, because at the minute I'm going to assume only the people subscribed are going to see these, because I've got 19 subscribers and one of them's my husband. So yeah, let me know if you've got any other ideas for videos as well. I think the next one I'm going to do is a movie for every day of the month with like a Halloween theme or a gothic theme, because I do love a scary movie. So let me know if you think that's something you would enjoy. Thanks so much for watching.